Here it is, the 5 best wins of the St Kilda Football Club in home and away games this century. No finals. I know there's prelims that you want to talk about, but most of them are against the Bulldogs, so I don't want to talk about that. My guest is Dee Dunleavy, who is, well, you say long-suffering St Kilda fan, but that's pretty much all of you these days. Why are you a Saints fan?
So I was a little English baby. We came to live here in Australia, so I didn't know anything about footy. Mm-hmm. And my primary school teacher, and this would have been 67.
Oh.
She was a Saints supporter, and she told me about this man called Cowboy who could apparently fly through the air. So little tiny me thinks it's an actual cowboy.
Flying cowboy.
And I used to think...
Space cowboy.
But I used to picture this horse that would fly through there, and I just thought, I'll have what she's having.
Yeah.
and I was just a little schoolgirl, and usually schoolgirls in St Kilda is not a good mix, is it? But in this... Why are you laughing, Jane? In this case, it was. No, so I was hooked from there and loyal from there.
Were you disappointed the first time you went to a game and it was just a bunch of blokes jumping on each other?
I was actually... so my husband... I didn't go to a football game until I was probably 18. My husband took me, and he was a Richmond supporter. And Francis Burke, and it's like a famous photo of him where his face got split open.
Oh, yeah,
his whole face was blood. And it was when they would like run around with it. It was like a badge of honour.
Yes.
It wasn't, quick, get him off, he's got a muzzy bite. Let's block the butt up. Don't let anyone touch him. I was like, whoa. And I will never forget, it was at the MCG, being in the tunnel. I'd never been to the MCG. And we were walking around in the tunnels underneath to get, up to our seats. And there was a roar. We must have been late getting there. I'd never heard anything like it. And I just thought, yes, this is for me.
This is good.
So I, as a dutiful girlfriend, went along to his stupid Richmond games. It wasn't too bad. They were doing okay.
Yeah,
but then a mate of ours, Robert Mace, ended up playing for St Kilda, got picked up by St Kilda. And so we would then go to all the Saints games.
All right. So he's not a Richmond fan anymore?
No, I turned him. I know.
Good. That's brilliant news. Number 5.
Round 14, 2015. This is St Kilda versus Essendon.
Okay.
And look, it's the game itself. I won't do a blow by blow of what happened in it, but there was a couple of memorable moments, and one of them in particular was Mark Bagley absolutely flattened Jack Loney, who was just a zippy little... I loved him as a player, actually. I was a bit sad to see him not with St Kilda anymore. And it was off the ball. He flattened him in the centre of the ground. You would expect, Loney... And 2015, I think the concussion protocols were not as strict as they are now.
No, I don't think so. Yep.
I think now he would probably be removed from the ground, but he wasn't. And ha-ha to Essendon because... he just lit up. He was everywhere. He was zipping around, kicking goals. Josh Bruce with kicking goals. And let me just check the winning margin. Let me see. Just 110 points.
Oh, wow.
That's all. And David Armitage had 37 possessions.
Oh, wow.
So it was... I think that they were probably the 3 key players. There were other contributors on the day, but just for the sheer size of the win... 110 points, that's my number 5.
And they do... Have you ever been subjected to, when you're losing to Essendon, they sing a song called, where it goes, we've got 16, you've got 1, doodah, doodah, we've got 16. I've had that sung at it. Me as a Bulldogs fan, and so to beat them is always particularly sweet.
Yeah, and it comes down to your associations. Know a few Essendon people who are going to arc up a bit after, so nice to silence them. 2005.
Number 4.
2005, round 22, St Kilda come up against the powerhouse, the Brisbane Lions.
Oh, they were unstoppable.
At that time, they were. They'd been in 4 grand finals. They'd won 3 of them. I can't...
Oh no, this is best wins we're doing. Best losses is next week. Surely you can't beat Brisbane.
No.
Surely you can't beat Brisbane.
Don't jump to conclusions, Danny, because you would think that Brisbane were going to win
I did.
this game.
I even though we're in the future, I think they're still going to win this.
Stephen Milne had other ideas.
Okay.
And there was a couple of of things that did not go right for us. I think Fraser Gehrig was out, the big G train. I know. And from memory, Matt Maguire, who was our key defender. Goose was out, so we're weakened. But Stephen Milne, look, I'll get to the exciting part at the very end when they tallied up the number of goals that Milne kicked. 11. And not just 11, but 11 straight.
I mean, oh, really?
And watching the game, it was. I hate the word masterclass. It's a bit of a cliche, but you could just see he where the ball was going to fall. Like if there was a pack mark and the ball fell down, he was just on it like a seagull on a chip. He was kicking. He couldn't miss. He couldn't miss. He was turning around. He was snapping goals. And Nick Revolt also kicked not 11. I think Revolt got 6 that day. It was such a good win because it was the one we were not expected to win, and I think we thumped them by over 100 points.
Whoa, Brisbane.
Let me check.
That's amazing.
I could be talking rubbish. 139 points.
186 to 47.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? I know this is close to 20 years ago. How the hell did you do that?
I know. You'd look at that and you think, what? You can't compare that to how St Kilda are going now. And there was a very sad moment at the end of the game because Darryl White, who was a great player for the Brisbane Lions, it was his final game. Oh. And so they cheered him off.
Oh, no.
I know. It's like St Kilda.
So your farewell gift is a spray from Lethal Matthews. Oh no.
It was, I think, probably one of the worst losses that Lee Matthews ever coached. Yeah, but it was nice for St Kilda. Sorry, Darryl White and Lee Matthews.
Oh, number 3.
You're right.
3? Yeah. No,
2015. Which round, Danny? Round 6. St Kilda
I
versus...
knew this game would come up. I hate
Bulldogs.
this game so much.
But remember the good times. Remember the point in the third quarter when St Kilda was... It was 70 to, was it 14 or 15?
Something like that. I felt very comfortable at that point.
And that was 70, not 17.
No, yeah, we were well ahead.
And you were absolutely on fire. Like, we could not. The Saints could not keep up. The pressure was relentless. The ball movement, the speed, the fearlessness of the Bulldogs. I'm trying to remain friends with
And
you.
then Clay Smith did his knee, and it broke the psychology of our team.
He kind of did his knee twice, didn't he?
He's done his knee like 50 times
No,
today.
in the same game, because he was over the boundary.
Oh yeah, no,
line,
he very much, it almost severed it, and then he was too stubborn to. The doctor said, "Oh, you should probably curve." He go, "No, I'll be right. I've done my knee before." Went out, redid it.
Because I remember he was on the boundary line. It was clutching it, but then he went on and was still playing. But then he sort of just fell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Clay's told me that story. Anyway, he came back and won a flag. Don't worry about it.
Is that the reason why?
Yeah. The team all just felt so bad because it was like the 3rd time he'd done his knee.
I've got another theory.
Okay, tell me your
here's
theory.
Mine. All right. Well, Jake Stringer, I have to admit, is one of those players that just terrifies me.
Very good. And 15 was his best year.
Yeah, and he was absolutely on that day. But for some reason, just on, was it quarter time? I think it was? Halftime.
Halftime there was the melee, yep.
He got up in the grill of Nick Revolt. And
well, I'd heard from my friends on the team that you all got in the grill of Liam Picken. Delightful Liam Picken.
I think Jake Stringer got it. Come on. He's got form. Come on.
Yeah, Jake Stringer would have been defending his friend.
Whatever. Melee! It's on! It's fucking on!
Jumper punch!
Right. And then you wait and see. When there's a melee, I don't know about you, but you always wait and see who's going to respond the better. So off they go, half time, because it was a full-on melee. Everyone was involved.
Yeah.
So we're still in the third quarter, and there was a point which I think was the turning point, because I think the Bulldogs probably felt like they'd done enough, and rightly so. They're well up, but St Kilda did not think that as well, and Bob Murphy was kicking in, and I think he was just sort of indecisive. Tom Hickey, our ruckman, managed to get the ball off him. Tom Hickey kicks a goal, and from that point, something just happened with St Kilda. They just lifted, and we kicked the next 6. So we got back to within... You're going to help me out here, Dan.
No, you're on your own.
You're seething. Why so angry? So St Kilda are fighting back. Jack Billings lifted. He kicked at least 3, I think. Yes, he did kick at least 3 extra ones. David Armitage was key for St Kilda again, and there's been a number of games where he was just the standout star, but he had like 37 possessions or something in this particular game. So, in the end, 22 minutes in, that was the first moment that St Kilda hit the front.
Yeah, yep. And it was a bit of a seesaw
How
then,
did
but
you feel then?
aroused. No, what do you?
No, but you'd been leading all day.
It was devastating. I was a Hulk rage monster. I'll tell you that.
But did you like go, oh, that's it, we're done, or did you?
No, I was like going, come on. I was really angry that we would turn this easy game into like a hard fought win, and then it wasn't even that.
I mean, there's that expression, they put the cue in the rack, but it really did seem like that.
We put the cue in the rack, drove home, and never played billiards again.
But it could just be that they were spent, because I remember the pace of the game at the beginning was just so intense, so it could just be that they were spent. So in the end, St Kilda won by 7 points, but it was the turnaround, so that was a 55-point turnaround.
It's like the third best comeback in history, or it was at the time. Yeah. Oh no, that stat was sent to me by several Saints supporting friends.
Good, because we haven't got much.
And then do you always send the knock knock?
Owen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shut up. And the second best win of the St Kilda Football Club this century, DD.
2004, round 6 at Telstra Dome. Again, a few of these have been St Kilda versus Brisbane Lions.
You guys did have some epic tussles at the start of this century.
Look, we had just won the Wizard Cup, so St Kilda were...
That was great.
Good on us.
You did a lot of pre-season glory.
Yeah, but we did it very seriously.
That's right.
Wouldn't let Lenny Hayes smile. So St Kilda were actually had started really well. Brisbane, as we've discussed many times, it's boring now that Brisbane were just a powerhouse.
Best team I've ever seen.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. So there was a lot of excitement about this game, and there were 50,000 at whatever it was calling itself then, the Docklands.
At the Docklands. Which I bet you there's smug Richmond Collingwood fans going, oh, that's nothing. Yeah, but for us that matters.
No, but in that cauldron with the
that
roof
great
it
stadium
means that everything is very, very noisy.
Yes.
And it was a really good game to watch because there were 4 Brownlow medalists playing that day.
Is that a record? I reckon it might be. If you look, I'll look it up and I will put it down in the titles. Now we know. Now we know. So it was Michael Voss, Robert Harvey, Ackermanis, and Simon Black.
Absolutely. Quality all the way. Now we can zip through the game because it was just a tussle or wrestle all the way through. Right through until the last quarter.
So Brisbane kicked 7 goals in that final quarter.
Yes.
They're ahead. There's only minutes to go.
Minutes, maybe just a minute.
Aussie Jones has a shot at goal, as I recall.
Yes, he does. And he misses. Oh dear, Aussie Jones.
Come on, Aussie Jones.
Mal Michael has the ball. How many points down are we?
5 points down.
Right, okay. Thank you, Danny.
I've been more helpful than the Bulldogs game, I'll tell you that.
Words, not numbers. It's not my thing. Okay, so Mal Michael is kicking in for the Brisbane Lions.
Yes.
Somehow the ball ends up in the hands of
Heath Black,
who passes it on. Oh, I've neglected to mention one small fact. Okay. Is that Aaron Hamill, who's a bit of a bull and a real
I like Aaron Hamill. Yeah.
He was a late out. And so the inclusion in this game was this young fluffy-haired boy. I think he was only 22 years old. Number 40, Troy Schwartz.
And
if you're going, who? That's
am.
what the Saints fans were all doing the same thing. We knew who he was, but it was like, whatever. Okay, so Heath Black has passed it to Brett Voss. Brett Voss looks up. We're heading down, streaming down towards the St Kilda guy. He looks up and sees ahead of him Troy Schwartz.
Okay.
Who's about 65 metres out. Brett Voss spears the kick towards... I've forgotten his name
Brett
already.
Voss?
Number 14.
Troy Schwartz.
So you know how Melbourne supporters don't know their players'
Yeah.
Go 14. My husband and I, because of this moment where he bobbed up and he was like, "Who's that number 40?" We never called him Troy Schwartz. We always used to call him Forte. Oh, Forte's got the ball. So that explains that hesitation just said. So Brett Voss to Troy Schwartz, who's 65 metres out. He's been on the bench all day. He'd only played at the most 20 minutes in that particular game. He just is possessed by the devil. He races towards the goal. He launches this kick from, it was at least 50 metres out. Massive kick. and it sails up and over the head of their defender and goes through for a goal. And yes, thank you for celebrating with me. It is goosebumps, absolute goosebumps. Any young person who's played football would look at that, and that is what you dream of, coming on. And he'd only just come onto the ground, I think.
Being the cavalry to rescue everyone.
And Grant Thomas had just sort of brought him on for some fresh legs late in the game, and he was just in the right place. He'd found a bit of space on the wing when he came on. And to have that kick and for it to go through, and it's a beautiful goal. It's a booming kick. And we win. Hooray!
That's epic. Good on you, Troy Schwartz.
It was more for him. He became a cult hero.
And the best win the Saints have had in a home and away season this century, I reckon everyone would agree on this one. Take it away, Dee.
I'm going to make a big call, not just a Saints win, but for the game of football, one of the best wins ever.
Of all time.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, sure.
2009, round 14. It was 1 versus 2. It was St Kilda versus Geelong.
It was a fixtural anomaly that you both were undefeated.
Yeah.
And you both didn't play each other until round 14.
Yeah.
And it was Sunday twilight. We had to wait the longest time for this, what turned out to be a grand final preview, but a lot of people thought it was going to be a grand final preview. This was so exciting.
It's my least favourite time slot, but in this case it was... I was actually surprised how big the crowd was. So it was like 54,000.
It was chock-a-block.
But I've never been at a game where there was such electricity in the air. Everyone, it was so, and the build-up during the week, it had just been electric.
And you're at Docklands with the roof closed, and that accentuates because all of it bounces around in that tin shed.
Like it.
That's
it was
the grand final
incredible.
should be at Docklands. They're upset.
And so at this stage for St Kilda, Nick Riewoldt and Justin Koschitzky were absolutely at the peak of their careers. So I think we lost Max Hudson. We had lost through injury. He was one of our key defenders. And on the morning of the game, the Cats lost Stevie J. So there was a couple of little gaps there, but otherwise it was good. Gary Ablett at the peak of his powers, I'm going to say. And we had Clinton Jones on him. And he was a good little tagger, I reckon, at the time. And the speed of this game, so there was so many things that were just elevated, and I don't know if it's just how I remember it, but it was just so fast, and it was so fast from the first second. I remember seeing Cameron Ling talk about this after the game, and he said you had no time to make a decision. Whatever you did, it was like someone was right in your face. It was just bang, bang, bang. And I know the game is fast, but this was just an extraordinary game.
This is turbo.
Yeah. Nick Riewoldt's taking marks, Justin Koschitzky's taking marks. The goals, the Saints got the first 4. Even Sam Fisher kicked a goal, and he was our
your defender.
Yeah. And I don't think I actually had ever seen him kick a goal before, but even he kicked a goal. Everyone's going, oh, I haven't got that. Yeah, let's have a go. Michael Gardner was in the ruck for us that day, and he, during the game, kicked 3. So he was having a pretty reasonable game. But so let's just say it's fairly even throughout. We can fast forward through to the last.
Yes, because it was a very exciting ending.
When the exciting stuff happens, okay.
So let's go. We're to 5 minutes to go. The scores are level.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And so I think Matthew Stokes' goal for them levelled the scores. And at that point, I think probably because of his goal, it just felt like the Cats had the momentum. And
they had an irritating habit of winning these close sort of games.
And because we are like, it's like when a dog's been hit on the nose with a newspaper, it knows it's going to get it again. So we were kind of like, we know what's going to happen here. We know how this turns out. So we were expecting to lose. Down to the last 2 minutes, Nick Del Santo passes the ball to Lee Montagna, who's in the middle of the ground. Lee Montagna chips the ball to Luke Ball, who's on the wing. Michael Gardner, who's been floating around, and as I said, he had 3 in the game to that point. He just, and I have heard him talk about it later, he just had such trust in his teammates. He thought that he knew where Ball was going to kick it to. So Ball kicks the ball into our forward 50, where there's a pack of players, and Michael Gardner comes floating in and how an enormous man like that floats, but he did, floating in and takes this, he sort of leans inside of us, takes this incredible pack mark, flattens people, in fact literally flattens Harry Taylor, who is one of my favourite players that's not a St Kilda player.
Yeah, he's a good bloke.
He I think copped a stray elbow from Gardner. And so he's laying on the turf. He's unconscious. There's around about a 3-minute break in the thing while they have to take him off the ground. And during that time, Michael Gardner is holding the ball because he's got to take his kick.
Yep.
And I think we're 5.
He remembers Siren Game. He knows that the game can be taken
do
away.
Not let go. And I believe that I heard later that they were talking about what do they do with the different options if he did kick a point. But eventually, Harry is taken from the field. Michael Gardner lines up for his goal, and he kicks it. And he is very excited, and his tongue comes out. I don't know who was doing it at. Was it their cheer squad?
Maybe saw his dentist. Just say, check out my molar.
It's an iconic image. I think is that the photographers were there and they captured that. And he was the hero of the game, and we beat them. And I just to win a game when so much was on the line, and when the build up and everything with it, it meant so much. And I think it was one of the best games I've ever seen. It was certainly one of the loudest games I've ever been to, and one of the just most electric games. And Michael Gardner just won the heart of every single St Kilda fan with that mark. It was incredible.
That's DD's list. I hope you enjoyed that, Saints fans. And if you can think of any better wins, let us know in the comments. And follow the Saints on social media, because we were just talking about it. It's run by a friend of mine who used to be at Melbourne Victory. He's really funny. Your socials are fantastic.
They do a good job. Really, we should be depressed, and we're not, because our socials are very good.
Yeah.
The Saints.
And while you're on your socials, maybe like, subscribe, follow, all those things. And,
like me.
Yeah, like Dee. Just like her in general life. I mean, everyone does. But
that's nice. Thank you.
And good luck, Saints. Your day will come.
Go Saints!